Hi there, my name's Bren Vanderswag. I'm the president of GutterExperts.com and founder of GutterCon, which was held just last weekend in Denver, Colorado. I'd like to introduce my guests for today, Ben and Tim Konowitz. They're calling in from Northwest Indiana, a small town called LaPorte. LaPorte Seamless Gutter has been in business since 1992, so this is their 40th year in business. Ben bought out his father, Tim, just 3 years ago, and we woke Tim up from his nap to chat with us today. How you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
Alive and kicking, and I am awake.
Yeah?
I'll add a note on there. Your Canadian math does not translate from American to Canadian. It's 1982 for 40 years, not
did I say
1990.
1992?
Yeah, you're Canadian. I forgive you. There's a metric system involved.
We are behind by 10 years. So that's anything that happens down in the States, we find, like, when you guys got sliced bread in 1872, we got it in 1882.
There you go. I love it.
So listen, Ben, you and I got a chance to meet at GutterCon this past weekend. And, I would have to say you were probably, don't take offense by this, but you were probably one of the loudest guys there.
That's about that tracks.
But what I remember about you was that your excitement about all of us just getting together in Denver.
Absolutely. All kidding aside, I love jokes, and I did some stand up at the convention in front of everybody. That was a lot of fun. But realistically, having the chance to literally talk to another gutter company owner that isn't my direct competition, it just doesn't exist anywhere in the world. So the idea that we all got to get together, and yes, the seminars were incredibly valuable, but the time spent with the individual owners and their wives and employees, everybody that was there, the vendors, it blew my mind, and it was so impactful for my day-to-day running of my business. And I really appreciate it. It was the best experience I could have hoped for.
Well, we enjoyed having you, and I certainly share the same feeling you did. I've been saying this leading up to it. It's not really all about hearing speakers. It's about hanging out with like-minded individuals, right? Like hanging out with your peers.
Absolutely. The idea that the people that went to GutterCon are those people that want to grow and get better. Not one person there was drug kicking and screaming to come to that convention. Everybody there was like-minded in the way of, I want to get better. How do I do that? Holy crap, there is a conference now. Let's go get better.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that. So listen, I always like to kind of start off from the beginning. And Ben, how old are you?
I'm exactly 40 years old.
40. I was just going to say you're probably in your early 40s. So I know LaPorte Seamless Gutter didn't start with you. Why don't we start with your dad, Tim, who's also here. Tim, tell us a little bit about how you got into the gutter business. Like, if Ben's 40, you must be at least 55.
Yeah, and some. I'm 68.
Okay, well, that's good. So, you must have been doing something before you were in the gutter business. Tell us a little bit about your life before the gutter business.
Okay. Well, I worked at a company called Ellis Chalmers. They made farm equipment, and they went out of business. Well, this is 1982, and the recession had hit, and factories were closing. And I did some general contracting, a little bit of this and that. And a friend came, and he had LaPorte Seamless Gutter, and he had it for about 6 or 8 months, and had another business venture to get into it, and offered to sell me the equipment and such. So I took a shot, and we bought it, and we went into business. It was my wife and I, and I ran it by myself for the first year, and then got help and got some more help and bought another truck and grew it. And we got to a point where we couldn't do any more. My wife couldn't handle any more business. I walked in the office. She said, I'm done. I can't do anymore. So we just decided we would maintain what we had. And at that time, we had 9 employees and 3 trucks.
Well, that's a pretty good sized business. I mean, when was this?
This was in 90, in the 90s, 95, 96,
So
97,
we're really talking,
2000.
well, you probably had cell phones back then. But
I I
would you have
was one,
had computers and cell phones back then?
well, I was the first one to have a cell phone. In fact, I had when it came into the LaPorte area, I was the first ones to have phones. And what I did was they were hardwired into the
Yeah,
truck.
I remember that too.
Yeah. And we would call. Before that, I had a
I actually
pager.
had a bag phone. You carried it on your shoulder.
There you are.
Yeah,
There you
3-watt bag phone, they called it.
Yeah. I had a pager. The guys would call me. I'd go to a
Pager.
phone, call them, and and then we got cell phones and modernized, and computers came in. So that was a big bonus. And it was a lot of growth there. I always treated it like an industry. But I got to compliment you on Gutter-Con. That's fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
I would go places on vacation and look in the phone book, and I would call a gutter guy.
I do that too.
And it's hard to convince them that you're not your
Yeah,
competition.
yeah,
You know,
I know.
trying to scam them or anything.
Yeah. What's your prices? Yeah, oh, we can't tell you that. No.
Oh no. But that was it. That was the way it went, and we maintained it for all into the 2000s and such, and and then Ben came to work for us, and
But let me just ask you this, like you were 40 years in the business and Ben, you're 40 years old. I mean, you were buying a business and having a kid at the same time, weren't you?
I was.
You had a lot of stuff going on.
Well, yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I have another son too. So I have two sons, and the wife and the house and the building, and
Yeah.
it was a lot. But I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah. So the time when your wife was, it almost sounded like she was like saying, okay, that's enough, enough is enough. When was that again? What year?
That had to be in the 2005 or 2005 to 2010, somewhere in there.
And did you guys just feel that you were like just too busy, like there was just too much happening, you couldn't handle it? Like, is that what it was like, or you just didn't want to grow anymore?
I wanted to grow. I wanted to grow. I could see the potential to grow and to do things. But like I said, the wife did the books, and we didn't have office help, couldn't really afford it. And when you put an X amount of dollars through the books, $100 at a time, it's very taxing to do the books and keep up with the phone calls and scheduling and such.
So, I mean, just looking back, compared to how things are run today or how things were running, when you were getting out of it, would you say that you probably weren't running the business properly back then? Or, I guess I just want, you said, it's almost sounded like you said that it was tough, it was difficult.
Well, being a one-man show, there was a time when I was 6 weeks out on estimates.
Yeah. Okay. That's tough.
That's alone. Yeah, that's tough. And you get into things, and Gutter's so unique in the scheduling process. You're there for anywhere from 2 or 3 hours to a day. And if you're there for a day, it's a big job.
Yeah.
Where other companies are there for days, weeks, months, and it just
the turnover is a lot. I mean, I always said, just to keep track of what has to be, the calls coming in, the estimates to be done, the jobs to do, what jobs got done, and then getting paid for the jobs. I mean, I was involved with another business before I started mine, and I could probably live off the money he was losing because he wasn't keeping track of things.
Oh yeah. There was a period where the prices went up, not like they are today, but prices went up, and the wife said, I need money. So I'd make phone calls and get money, and then go out and hustle jobs and do jobs and get more money in and stuff. and was so busy doing that, you never realized what the pricing was doing.
Yeah.
So you lost money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you realized, oh my God, price went up, I'm paying this and that. So, you have to raise prices.
Yeah. We did a job today from 2021. Like, we're just trying to wrap up the last of our work that we didn't get complete in 2021. And I looked at the one of the jobs, and we've had 2 price increases since we quoted it. And I was like, holy crap, we should have just let that one go. But we stuck to it. I mean, we're ourselves. I mean, we're probably 2 months out. That's just too much. It's too much. You can't be that far out. So
Yeah, I think right now we're about 3 weeks out, 2 to 3 weeks.
that's
If I'm being
nice.
honest, that's about the furthest. But honestly, like I feel like we just got there. In March when the rains were coming, we were only like, I feel like we were like a week to 10 days out, and I'm freaking out going, you're putting the tracks in front of the locomotive at that point. We got to sell more. What's going on here? And, and there have been price increases. And of course, like I still have the contract on the wall from my dad's first sale. And of course, back then, oh my God, 76 cents a foot. I mean, it was just,
wow.
What it was, but these days it is, there are so many factors to consider. But I will tell you that in the 90s, when I was a kid, my dad would come home and he would be dirty as hell, but he'd still make time to play catch in the backyard. Him and mom still were great parents. My mom was the T-ball coach and the PTA president, and you volunteered all the time. Dad chaperoned, trips to Camp Tecumseh to make soaps and candles and crap that you learned in 5th grade. Like he still made the time to be a great dad.
Yeah.
So that's yeah, absolutely incredibly hard to do. So yeah, I can't say enough good thing. We fought like cats and dogs when I was trying to take over the business from him, and we can talk about that obviously, but
we're gonna.
But the idea was that he was running it the best way that he knew how. He didn't have an MBA or have any sort of entrepreneurial, know-how. He was literally making it up as he goes. And I'll tell you what, right now, I'm looking around this scheduling room right now. There's a lot of processes he started in 1982 or perfected in the 2000s that we still use every day because they are the most efficient through trial and error. And I got to be born on third base thinking I hit a triple. And that's American baseball language for you there. But the idea here is that he set me up for success more than I could ever even imagine. I love you, Dad, and I really appreciate you.
Love you too, Ben. Love you too.
Well, I've been in business. I'm 50 years old myself, and I've been in business for myself since I've been a teenager. And business is tough. I mean, people always think, oh, it must be nice. You got a new truck, you do this, you do that. It's so hard, isn't it? And I know you've been there, Tim. I can tell.
It's like Ben said, I was fortunate in that I had older people in the sheet metal trade that I could go ask technical questions about. I had a friend teach me how to solder copper and galvanized steel. So that opened up an avenue for me there too.
Nice.
And it was, and talking to business people, and you think, well, this is corporate business. It doesn't apply to me. It does.
Sure
and if you're around long enough, you'll understand why it does and how it does.
Yeah.
The principles are all the same.
Yeah, you're right. So Ben, when did you get into the business?
So in 2011, I was not employed, and my mom went to my dad and said, Tim, he needs a job. And so basically they hired me as office staff. I had never hung a gutter.
So you were just shy of 30 then, right?
Oh yeah. I had gone to California and made my bones out there as a in-home sales. And so I knew how to sell, but I didn't know anything else.
What were you selling?
I was actually selling home improvements, believe it or not gutters. I never sold a gutter, but I sold doors, windows,
Okay.
exterior remodeling, things like that.
Did you go to school or anything like that?
Yeah,
or-
I have a degree in psychology from Indiana University
Okay.
that my parents paid for. Thank you very much. And I spent more time partying than I did,
Yeah.
any actual work. But I will say there are, of course, some psychological principles that I still do apply, obviously, every day of my
I
life.
bet you do.
Yeah,
So,
negotiations and talking like that.
So let me just ask you this: you had zero interest in being involved with the family business, like even before?
Back then, no, I really
Nothing.
wanted to be a police officer is what I really wanted to do back in the day.
Okay.
And I really wanted to do, I took all those tests that they give you, like the Enneagram tests and all those things to tell you what kind of personality you have. And everything always came back that I wanted to do something to help people. And I did, but I didn't like blood. So I was like, I'm not gonna be a freaking doctor, and I'm not smart enough either. So I was like, well, cop. I want to be a cop. Let's do that. I can help people that
Tim
way.
has something to say here.
Yeah, go ahead.
You went to school long enough to be a doctor.
There you go. That is not a lie whatsoever. It took me 5.5 years to graduate.
Oh, geez, that's funny.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So yeah, but then I went out.
I bet you that was in the purchase and sale agreement, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's all in there.
Oh yeah,
Paying it back. I went to California after college. I lived out there for 3 years in San Diego, selling and making my bones. I didn't realize the company I was working for, and I won't. Just to be, fair, I won't name any names here, but I did work for a scam company. I didn't realize it was a scam at the time.
Okay, so is it a company that's still around that we all probably know of? Oh wow!
Yeah, it's a company that's
guys.
It's a company that's still around.
I know who it is.
No, it's LA and San Diego based only. They're not nationwide.
Oh, okay. It's not the one I thought it was.
Yeah, but it was a very interesting sales process because you learn how to really sell, right? I mean, those principles are there. Now, whether or not you're not supposed to be charging $30,000 for, a Windows treatment that should cost, $1,500, I didn't know that. So I was being told that this is what the value was. And I tell my sales guys right now, you can sell anything as long as you believe the value of it. And I say, do you believe the value of what LaPorte Seamless Gutter has to offer? And they say, of course, boss, I believe our pricing is great. I was like, yeah, that's what I did back then. But I thought that it was worth $30,000. That's what I was taught. As soon as we took a factory tour of the window factory, and one of the guys was like, oh yeah, this is our base model. It runs for about, $59. And I remember selling that exact same window for $3,500, like 2 days previous. I quit the next day. I just couldn't, my pit of my stomach, I took advantage of it. I didn't know. But all that to say, you can take those principles that are not scammy and apply them sales wise to a good product like we sell. And there are ways to convince people, of course, that they're making a good decision that, in your heart, it's the right thing to do. And you're saving them from maybe a company that's going to take advantage of them, like that company I used to work for. So I learned a lot from that. And I didn't sell immediately when I got to the business. My mom literally had me set up the Facebook page back in 2011 and just answer the phone.
Even Facebook back then?
Yeah, so Facebook was 2006. I think I got a Facebook page way back then. Wow. So but that's the good thing. Like my dad was forward thinking enough. We've had a website. When you did that in 2004?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So we, as a gutter company, to have a website in 2004, you didn't.
Companies that don't have it today.
Yeah. And so
the
presence of mind to have that, and he built it himself, and he had all the content on there. We just updated it in 2015. That's how freaking good it was. Like it was incredible. And so now we've optimized it for a little bit more lead generation and things like that. But it was a very informative website for what it was back in the day. And it today would still crush what most people consider to be their nice website. What my father built back then. I mean, so the presence of mind, he never had the business degree, but clearly he knew what the hell he was doing and what direction to take things. So I just tipped my hat to what the foresight. How the hell did he know to get into a business that Amazon can't yet do?
They probably won't be able to do it. They won't be able to do it. Tommy Mello will tell you the same thing. They won't be able to do it. They could sell the gutter in 10-foot lengths and sell the downspouts and elbows, but they won't be able to install it. That's for sure.
My dad always called it a factory on wheels, and it really is.
Yeah. So when you quit your job, that the next day after you found that out, is that when you called mom and said, Mom,
I
on that
came
other
home.
job?
I came home like probably 3 months after that. I tried to find other sales jobs that I liked. I dabbled in this and that, and it just nothing ever really panned out. And I knew I can't keep up with the rent out here, so let me just move back home. And then I moved back in with my parents for a little bit. Moved back out. I worked for a title company for like 6 months, being a searcher. That you would just search liens and things for like $13 an hour, $11 an hour, whatever it was. I waited tables. I did this and that, and then I finally said, "Listen, I need a job here, and let's talk about joining the family
So
business."
were,
And
were you not wanting to do it, or?
well, I had what I honest to God wanted to do was I wanted to be a business owner. I just didn't want to be a gutter business owner. So
Yeah.
I went and took some small business classes from the Small Business Association. I went to their workshops, created a business plan, and came to my dad and mom and said, "Hey, I wrote this business plan and I would like $20,000 because I want to start what is essentially a pawn shop without the pawn aspect. So I want to do like a resale shop where I'll buy things at a better margin than you would get at the pawn shop and then sell them lower than what the pawn shop would charge. So I'll cut my margins down a little bit and I'll operate in that space that actually helps people out and doesn't take advantage of them on the sales side." Because I had another guy that I had met in a sales job I had here for a quick minute was doing it over like 4 towns over, and it was a pretty profitable business. So I slid that across the table to my dad and I said, "I would like $20,000 and for you to read this business proposal." And he goes, "Good Lord, if you want to start a business, like just join our business." And he got mad. He was like, "I'm not even reading this."
Yeah,
But you want to do a business,
I was
but
just gonna say, how'd that go over, Dad?
you're like a freaking lead balloon.
Lead balloon, lead balloon. Shot him out of the sky.
So when I'm assuming that's true. That's what you said, right, Tim?
Yeah, not word for Ben cleaned it up.
But did you always have hopes that he would come back to the business, or?
No, I really actually didn't. I didn't see Ben working in the business. I didn't see Ben, certainly didn't see him owning the business. And I certainly am so proud to say he's taken the business to what I dreamed of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud of you for that, Ben. You've really escalated this thing and fulfilled my dreams. Thank you.
It was, I know, and we're going to sit here and compliment each other all the time. Like, yeah, I know we have a great relationship now. We really do. He's just the guy that I can complain to, and he understands, he gets it, and I can call my mommy and be like, "I'm so upset about these freaking customers." And my mom's like, "I get it." And I'll call dad and say, "Man, this, can you believe this guy? He wanted us to do a B spout on the sidewall when clearly, and he gets what I'm talking about." So it's really nice to have that. For a long time, though, from 2011 through 2014, it was just me chomping at the bit saying, I can do this better. I have a better way of doing it, and wanting to take it and run with it without even understanding how it all worked. So that was contentious, to say the least. And then when we decided that it was going to be time to, they were, again, very smart. And they said, "Listen, we don't want to do this forever, but we want to do this in a 5-year increment. We don't want to hand it over to you. You got to buy it." So I basically earned it through the sweat equity. I would work for a low wage. And then every time that we would get like a bonus or this and that, it would just go into a percentage that I would own of the company. And as soon as I got 51% of the ownership of the company, I was able to collateralize that for a loan at the bank and actually buy them out. And that's how we worked it over the course of 5 years. And we had some real, honest to goodness, literal knockdown, drag out fights about everything. We were just enemies for a while.
Now, maybe you don't want to talk about this, but I'll ask you the question, like, how did you guys come to a value? I mean, it must be different, when you're selling to someone out on the street. I mean, how does it work when it's for family? I mean,
You want to tell that?
I'm going to ask you that question because I have my brother in my business right now.
Yeah.
And the hope and dream for him, I hope, is that he's going to be taking it over the next 5 years. So, I mean, how do you come up? How did you evaluate it? Did you just come up with a number that you're happy with, or did you actually, was it a real number that meant something? Like, how'd you do it?
It was a real number. I was approached at one time to sell the business, and I went through and did a complete inventory of everything I had. So I had a base value
Of what you what you owned, like physically.
Tools, inventory, equipment, trucks, everything. So it was pretty easy to update that. when Ben wanted to buy out. So to come to that, that portion of it was relatively easy to do. And then you start putting on sweat equity and blue sky. And, you come to, you come to a realization of who's going to buy, who's got that much money to buy them.
I was just going to say, like, that when you add the blue sky on, like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. Who's got this much money? So, in every business.
And the people that have that much money, do they really want to buy a gutter business? Like, why wouldn't you just buy Apple stock or Tesla or something?
Right. Exactly. So, and then you look at your exit plan on what you're going to do. And it was either going to be sell it to Ben, or when you're time to retire, break it down, have an auction, sell it out, or sell two gutter companies, one the Porte Seamless and call it another one something else, and sell two gutter companies, and away you go. And
but at the same time, as a father, you want to make sure that Ben succeeds too. Like you can't make it too much that he can't afford it, right?
Oh, exactly. So we came to a fair price, and price I wanted, and then the price that Mom wanted, and the price that Mom wanted, that's the price that Ben got.
Thank you, Mom.
So if you can't help your family, and what can you do? What kind of person are you that you can't do that? And I'm just so happy because he succeeded and done so well with it that like I said, he's amazed me.
Yeah, when we were sitting there at the dinner table, literally saying like, well, what do you think is a fair price, Ben? And what do you think is a fair price, Tim? We literally wrote down numbers and passed them across the table upside down to each other just at the end of it. Like after we got a valuation, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. You could ask 600,000, 200,000, 500,000. This is not 50 grand. Yeah. So the idea was, well, what's fair? So we literally flipped them across the table and they were the exact same number.
No, really?
That's not a lie. That's Tim, tell him.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we came down and we knew kind of what each other were going to be about, but it was lower than I thought he was going to go for. And I'm sure it was probably higher than he thought I was going to offer. But at the end of the day, I was like, wow, okay, this is exactly what I think it needs to be. The caveat to this was I convinced, I talked to my mom more than my dad and said, now this price is times 1,000. So if we have 200 shares or 500 shares or whatever times 1,000 shares, that's the value of the company, right? So let's say it's 500,000. It's not, because I don't want to get into the weeds with it, but let's say that it was 500,000. Then I said, okay, I'm buying 500, or I'm buying 1,000 shares at 500 a share. Now I'm going to bust my ass to increase the value of this company, but I only ever want to pay $500 a share. So if it's worth later, if I double the value of the business, I'm not paying 1,000 a share. Are we in agreement? And we did agree to that. Okay. So my shares never went up, but we started doing some things and making some more money, and it was a more valuable company, definitely by the end of it. But because we had that situation, I was of course from day one busting my butt to make sure that it was the most profitable company.
Because the only way for you to pay for the business was to make the business succeed.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So the other part of it was, and I'll give this advice, it was a 5-year buyout. Yeah. And the first year, I took 1 day a week off. I elected to take Fridays off. So I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, which was terrific for me because I could do yard work and everything, and the wife and I could have the weekend. Yeah. The second year, I took 2 days off. Now, the first year, taking 1 week off, doing 50 hours in 4 days, as we all know, was a piece of cake. Yeah. The second day taken off, that Thursday and Friday, that was the awakening for Ben to say, oh, hey, oh, holy shit, I gotta get a salesman. Oh, he's not there. I have to take over this. Oh, I got to do this and I got to do that. So that was a time of reckoning for Ben to really realize and to step up and say, not step up, but to realize that, know, hey, these things need to be done. This is what Dad would do. So I took that. The third year, I was told to take another day off, Wednesdays. Well, I took off Wednesdays. You can't do business for 2 days a week.
No, you can't.
Take 3 off, and that lasted for 2 weeks. And I said, I'm done. I quit. I can't. I could retire. And by that time, Ben had taken over.
Really,
Ben had,
he really didn't need you.
no, he didn't need me.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so immediately though, I had to fill the gaps because he was doing the work of 3 people a lot of times with scheduling and
Right.
Inventory and things like that. So I had to promote one of my guys to production manager so he could do the order. I had to change the schedule so that we had people to unload the deliveries when they came. The office staff had to change. I needed a salesman immediately. We were doing good work in the community. In 2013, I founded a charity that we were starting to bring stand-up comedians to LaPorte, Indiana to put on shows, and we were giving all the money away. But this was improving our reputation. And not that it was bad. I mean, Tim and Konowitz had an incredible reputation for quality work at fair prices. I mean, and that's legit.
Yeah.
When you start to get your name out in the community because you're doing more, everybody just starts to know who you are. It's a small town, right? So everybody knows you. They want to use you. That's great. But it gets so phone's ringing so much. We need to, either raise prices or hire more people. And I didn't understand how to raise prices. So we just hired more people. We had a very bloated, we had a sales staff. We had this, we had that. And my prices were the same, but I was just hemorrhaging money because I didn't understand the value of what we were selling. So we slowly started raising prices and realizing, okay, it's okay to not have every tire kicker in the world want to buy from you. You need to just concentrate on
all the work. You don't want all the work.
And people, honestly, they don't buy on price. They buy on value. And that is a huge, huge difference. And that was a learning curve. I didn't know.
I think every company has that. I mean, you hate to give up any work. You always want to get the call. You always want to, get the job. And, it's okay to let jobs go.
I still struggle with it.
I do too.
But you always want to take something away from your competition.
Yeah.
That's human nature to do that, so you're right.
Yeah. You're like, well, if I don't do it, then so-and-so is going to do it. And then they're going to have a better year than me because we gave them the opportunity. It's like, no, let them have those problem customers.
Well,
That's what I want to do.
Yeah. Well, cool. So when did you retire, Tim? When was the year you retired?
What year was it, Ben? What, 19?
Yeah, so the process started in 2014. I bought him out in 2019, and then I still rented the building and rented the land from them for 2 more years. And we just bought that aspect of it out last year. So for a couple of years, then he was still, he'd take scrap in for me, and he wanted to get paid hourly. It was hilarious. He's like, "Can you just pay me hourly to do this stuff?" And we did that for a while, and then eventually we just, I want him to retire. He's got a wood shop down here. So my office used to be his wood shop upstairs. So we moved him down and out. I put a 100-foot addition onto the building that we finished last year. We added another crew, and I've got a personal bay, and we've got an employee gym, and he's got his personal bay with his wood shop in it now. And that's the number one thing that I've brought to the table, I would say, is the culture and the employee retention. Not that it wasn't
so important.
Well, we had a guy that retired from LaPorte Seamless Gutter after 27 years of hanging gutter for my dad. Wow. So it's not like we didn't ever have employee retention. We did. But nowadays it's even better. We've got guys that have been with me 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, 14 years, 13 years.
Unheard of.
And the average age of somebody that's with me, the average working life with me is averaging 5 or 6 years now, rather than the turnover that we would see in the 90s and 2000s. It was hard to get, it's hard to get good people, but once you find them, I've really started to invest in them, and we pay top notch. I met everybody at Gutter-Con. I met all of them. And for the income that we have, for our revenue generated, we spend more percentage wise on our employees than anybody else. And that was just,
I know you probably won't mind sharing this. So what kind of revenue are you guys doing at LaPorte Seamless Gutter?
Right now, we're doing $2 million a year.
Okay. So you just put it out there. You think you're spending more. What percentage is your labor rate?
So I think that right now we're probably spending on direct labor it's honestly about 25% on direct labor only.
Yeah.
Right. But that's not including indirect. That's not including fringe. Any that's just literally the wage. Then on top of that, we are 401k, full insurance, dental, vision, 8 paid holidays a year, including your birthday. We got the employee gym. We've got, we took the guys to a Bears game last year and spent $10,000 on Bears tickets. In a week, we're taking to a Chicago Cubs game in a limo bus, and we'll have a paid day off the day after that so they can recover. We give Christmas bonuses every year, of course, that are
Geez,
great.
your labor rate must be up to 60% now.
I mean, we basically spend a lot of money on employee retention. We really do. But we pay per foot. We don't pay by the hour. So the guys really do produce.
Oh, interesting. So let's talk a little bit about that. How do you work that out?
So Tim created a spreadsheet on Excel way back in the day, and he paid for everything piecemeal. So tear down, flashing, 5-inch gutter, 2x3, 3x4, 6-inch, leaf guard, rehang. Everything had an item. Everything had an item, and you had a minimum that you could make. If you had a really tough day, you'd be on your minimum. But if you produced, then you could make $25 an hour even back then.
So is everyone on per piecework?
Yes.
From day one?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, for the first 2 weeks, they're hourly while they're learning. But after the 2-week training period, then they go right on piecemeal.
Really?
Yeah.
And what would you say an average guy makes if you worked it out per hour?
That is honestly, there is no average guy, because I've got my top guys can make $33, $34 an hour. My middle guys can make 20 to 25. Brand new guys usually shoot for between 15 and 17. But I mean, that's honestly, there's just so many variables in there.
So how do you do it? Like on a new guy, like
everybody gets paid individual rates. So everybody has, like, you might not be making exactly what your coworker is making per foot. You might be making 2 cents less per foot to do the exact same work because of the longevity with the company.
But you take it by the job. So the crew goes out and hangs 300 feet of gutter today. This guy's making this much. This guy's making that much. Okay. Gotcha. But it goes by the truck, obviously. It has to.
Yeah. Yep. And so then if you fill out a pay sheet, and then the guys, they might jump crews every week, because Tim was smart enough to have every single step van look the exact same. So your hacksaw's here, your caulk gun's here, the machine is over on the left, or on the right, or wherever it's going to be on the truck. It's in the exact same spot where everything is. So you jump onto the next crew the next day, you know exactly where everything is. So we literally pay per job, per piecemeal like that for everybody. So at the end of the week, that's why we have a 2-week hold on pay. It takes 2 weeks. We want 2 weeks to process everything, because then you look down what they wrote down that they actually did. We check that against what we quoted, against what they actually installed. There's a lot of double checking that goes with it, but we triple check everything to make sure it's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would just love to go by the foot. I've just always struggled with how to do it.
It's hard. I'm not going to lie to you. That's the hardest part of our employee, not culture, because the guys really do like working for us in that way, because it's very motivating to say, hey, you can make your own wage today. The toughest part is, how do you incentivize for the really tough jobs? I'm sorry you had a really tough day. That's a 2-story job, but technically it wasn't from the ladders, so really you should still be paid, your footage rate. And I know it's harder, because you'd really have to bust your ass to make the same thing you did yesterday on that modular home that you did. That can be really tough. So we're always constantly working to say, how we can, use multipliers for height and difficulty and things like that, so that it's fair. You should be making more money to do a harder job and less money to do an easy job, but we want everybody to make good money.
Yeah. So do the guys strive for the harder jobs or the easier jobs? Like,
I mean, no matter what, everybody always wants easier work, even if it means, because if you can do easier work, you can do more of it.
Well, this is the next question. Like, how do you if you got 3, how many trucks are you running?
Right now we're running 4 trucks.
Okay. So who gets the bungalow? Who gets the 3-story monster house? Like, I mean, how do you deal with that?
You have to deal with it, and you have to be cognizant of what they're doing. Yeah. Number one. What I did was, if I gave them a big 2-story strap hung job to do, they got new construction the next 2 days.
Okay.
And they
it's kind of a running total to figure out, like, oh, those guys actually had pretty tough work yesterday. Let's give them good work the next day. But honestly, that's just memory. Like, there is no process to be like, oh, I got a big red flag on my computer that says, Donovan had a really tough 2 days in a row. He'll come to you and he'll say, hey man, you've been killing me the last 2 days. What's going on? Oh crap. Let's go back the other way. That has definitely happened. But I think by and large, the guys respect and understand that it's never on purpose, that we're like really doing that to somebody, and that it is always working out in the end. Like
Are all
gonna
4
get the hard
trucks
stuff.
pretty well equal? You must have one crew that's like your primo guys.
We really don't, because the idea is that because we jump so much, you've got crew leaders, but the helpers that go with them are the guys that are. We start everybody as a downspout guy, and then you move on to being a roof guy, and then you move on to running gutter. So the downspout guy, we've got some magical guys that can just run circles around any downspout guy in the nation, right? We've got some of those, but we put them on the roof and they're not as good. But sometimes they got to be on the roof, and so that's the part where it's like, okay, what is this job? What's it going to entail? Do we really need our magical spout guy on that one, or can he be the roof guy on this one? Are we going to be okay there? But we've got enough guys. We've got the crew leaders that have been with us 14 years, 13 years, and 8 years or 9 years now. Those 3 guys are pretty top notch.
Yeah. Wow. Lucky.
Oh, is it luck or is it company culture and employee retention?
Well, I guess it is company culture and retention for sure.
There's a reason that our percentages are higher on paying, and that maybe we're not as quote unquote profitable as we could be. But I need to raise prices again. Honestly, I really do, because what people are getting is by far and away better than any other company in our area for sure. I won't talk that we're the best in the nation. I met Jimmy from Gulf Shores, Alabama. I met Corey from Minnesota. I met Frank from Connecticut. These guys are monsters of their own industries, and they care about their employees. They really do. And of course, I met Tommy. He pays his guys better than I do. He's got a better employee retention than I do. And he's doing it at a much bigger scale. So there's always something to learn. But I will tell you, like I'm going to throw my hat in the ring here. I really do want next year, if you'll let me pitch you on it, I would love to give the talk next year on employee retention and company culture, because I can tell you right now that we are, if not the best company in the nation or the world, we're damn close.
Colin Dehane, you're fired. Ben, you're hired.
I learned stuff from Colin. That's a great part, right? Even though I disagree with a few things he said, but I love some things he said. Like we talked afterwards and we were just about everything, because he was just passionate about it. I'm passionate about it. But honest to God, you let me give that talk next year and I'll blow your mind.
You're on. And I think Colin will sit at the front row and listen to you too.
Yeah, we had I'm glad we've been able to cultivate these relationships. I'm flying to see Corey in Minnesota in 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm going to take a tour of his facility, and we're going to go out on to take a look at his trucks and how he runs his business. And I'm bringing out my production manager. He and I are going to go tour, and then he's going to pick our brains.
Where
about
is he?
He's in Minnesota. Yep, we're flying from South Bend, Indiana to Minneapolis and renting a car and driving up to Brainerd to see him. All because of you, Brent. Because of you.
I almost want to come.
He would say that you're more than welcome. That dude is freaking Corey. If you're watching this, you're an incredible person. I'm so glad I met you, buddy.
Oh, he's in disguise. Like he flies low, doesn't he?
Well, he came up to me at the Gutter convention and he just kind of stood next to me. He goes, "Hey, I'm Corey." And I was like, okay. Like I honestly was like, why are you introducing you? But then when I realized, oh, you're running 20 crews and you have 6 locations. Holy crap. He's so unassuming. He doesn't brag. Yeah, he's that guy. And I can learn a lot from him. And I know he can learn a lot from me, because we've been doing it longer. So the idea that there are some longevity things he needs to think about, that's where I can definitely help.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome. I love to hear that. Love it. So where are you guys? So Tim, what are you doing now? Like you're just working in your wood shop or what?
Work in my wood shop and do whatever I get a chance to. Hey, Dad, can you run some downspout out to the guys? And I really enjoy that. I really do, Ben. Don't ever discount me for that, because I enjoy doing that. It gets me out and makes me feel, needed a little bit and such, and keeps me in the loop with the guys.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Do you miss it at all?
I did for a while, but honestly speaking, I don't now, because I fill my time with other stuff. There's always trouble finds me. I can I golf. I have stuff to do at home, here, there.
What about Mama? she in the business anymore? She retired too.
She retired too. So,
Nice.
yeah.
No, and they spend a month out of the year at one of the coldest months. They spend it out in Palm Springs, California. And I go out to visit, them in February, and that's obviously great. But I own an escape room business over in the next town over, and I have these crazy ideas. And I am all thumbs when it comes to construction. I'm the first one to tell you I don't know how to hang gutter, never done it. But I know how it should look on paper, and I know how it should look when it's done, right? So I'll talk to my dad about the escape room and say, hey, I've got this idea, and I really want to build this puzzle. And he will literally say, oh, I can do that. And he does it in a day. So he'll use his wood shop, and we've collaborated on quite a few puzzles together, and we've built that. And honest to goodness, I think that's probably been better for our relationship than anything, is like me being like, hey, I need your help, and I'm not going to argue with you on how you need to do it. Like, I just need it done. Can you do it? And he's been like incredibly helpful. We would not be successful over there if it wasn't for him. So he's still finding ways to provide tremendous value for business, just not LaPorte Seamless Gutter right now in the day-to-day running. But my other one, we would not be successful without him.
Nice.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Look, I'm so happy that I got a chance to speak with both of you. I talked to Ben at GutterCon, and Tim, you were really kind of questioning GutterCon, weren't you?
What do you mean questioning better?
That it was even going to work or happen.
Well, you know what? I have to
speak freely.
I will. You don't know me. I will. Ben came back from GutterCon, and the first words out of his mouth is, "You're going next year."
You are too.
Okay, I would be happy to go. Through this conversation we had this afternoon, I can't compliment you enough on what you've done for the industry.
Oh,
Brent.
Thank you.
Sincerely. This is something that people need to realize, that this is an industry. This is not a fly-by-night. You're not out there for beer money and fishing license. You're out to make a living to feed your family. It's a professional business, and it needs to be treated that way. And you brought that to the forefront of the industry, and that's what was needed for years. And there's no other place that you can go. And like you said, Ben, commiserate with other people, and cry on shoulders, pick their brains, talk to them. People they're eager to take. You're eager to help one another. You just don't have the avenue to do it. And with GutterCon, that's the place.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that. Well, that's why we did it, because that's what we wanted for sure. So
yeah, and I meant it. I was like, Dad, you're going next year. You have no idea. Like, just sitting and having a beer with somebody from down south to talk about, like, oh yeah, we don't put our trucks inside because we don't have to. It's like, you don't have to put your trucks inside. Like, we spent so much money on infrastructure because we got to protect our damn vehicles. You're just letting them out in the sun.
Yeah,
it was just so funny to talk to guys.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah, they do things differently all over the country, right?
Oh yeah, different methods that I had to explain what expansion and contraction was to a couple of guys, because it's like they don't have it. They don't, and are like, what's a 2x3 inch downspout? Like, everybody's 6-inch and 3x4 down south. It's a different industry. Well, it's the same industry, but it's just different.
You know what the standard is for us up here?
Yeah, what is it?
It's 2 5/8 by 2 5/8.
Really?
Square. Yeah.
Really?
2 5/8 by 2 5/8.
Man, I mean, it's incredible just to hear that, right? And I never, like, there's so many just things I would have just done. I've talked to my dad about all gutter in our area, but even he would say, we never had a GutterCon, so I couldn't tell you what a guy in 1994 was doing down in Gulf Shores, Alabama, but I can sure as heck tell you what they're doing in 2022.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it, Brent. Honestly, man, it sounds like I'm just gushing over here, but it's going to change the way that everybody that attended that conference does their business in a positive way. There's such an upswing in quality craftsmanship, professionalism, and customer treatment, loyalty, and employee retention because of what you're doing. So I'm all in next year for sure.
Yeah, and Tim, you better be there too.
He will.
I will be there.
And I hope you bring your wife too. You got to bring Mom.
We're trying to drag her on. I want to go to GutterCon. I'm retired.
Yeah, but it's not just about GutterCon. You know how much fun we had.
Absolutely.
Like, I know you weren't at the hockey game. Were you at the what do you call it? The concert?
No, we ended up
never-
going to dinner. We went to dinner with Corey both nights and with Jimmy and I just wanted to, Bailey made fun of me because we were in the taxi on the way to the convention and she literally makes fun of me to all of her friends because she's like, tell him, Ben, tell him how disappointed you were that they were going to a hockey game. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to sit there and not talk business. I want to talk business right, like always. And she was like, that's not what people go to conventions for. They go to have a good time. I'm like, no, I want to talk business 24 hours a day. So she was really letting me have it. Next year, I promise I'll go to the hockey game.
Well, if there is a hockey game, but I'll tell you, we had a blast at the hockey game and you bring that up, but I met someone at the hockey game with the huge convention, which is a huge convention, 1,500 people. And guess who I had a conversation with today? The CEO of the huge convention.
Yeah.
And guess where I'm going in August? I'm going to Nashville to the huge convention.
Yep. Nope. Yep. Listen,
and that's
networking
because of
is
the hockey
always
game.
beneficial. That's always beneficial.
Yeah, exactly. So listen, I know I don't even know what our time is at. I'm sure we're close to an hour for sure.
Sure.
We got to be. But I want to thank you guys so much for chatting. Tim, thank you. I hope Ben didn't have to drag you on here. Ben, I know you're all for everything I'm doing, and I really appreciate that. And you're a great cheerleader. And I can't wait till next year for sure. So I know we're going to be chatting again for sure. So
yeah,
thank you so much for everything you brought to the GutterCon 2022, and hope to see you guys both in person GutterCon 2023.
Hey man,
Oh,
we'll be there.
Hey there. Thank you
Super.
so much, Brem, for having me today. And I once again got to commend you on the work.
Thank you.
I get excited for Ben, for this.
Yeah.
This is,
well, he's certainly excited. There's no doubt about that.
oh yeah. Yeah.
Thanks again, Brent. Have a great night, buddy.
Yeah, listen, just before we let anyone go, if you have a story to tell, if you're a gutter guy and I haven't talked to you or I haven't met you, give me a direct message on Facebook or give me a call, whatever. I'm going to do one of these every week. All year round. I might take Christmas off, but my plan is to do one of these every week. So if you have something to tell, a story to tell, and you're like Ben and you want to talk about gutters and like Tim, just give me a call and we'll make it happen. So thanks everyone. There you go.
All right, buddy. Well, hey,